To reclad the entire building. Took 2 years, $80 million, about half of what it cost to build the building in the first place. They had to take off 43,000 slabs of white marble, replaced it with lock system. It's a physical separation between the lake and the river. So if you want to go out into the lake, you got to go through that lock. The lake is about 5 feet higher than the river. So every time a boat goes from the lake back into the river, that lock releases about 800,000 gallons of lake water into this river. So all this water here at one time was in Lake Michigan. But we're turning right over here. You can see those gray doors over there. Those are the doors to the Chicago. By the building, by the 30 Rock building. Well, we can still see it too, about 2 o'clock on the boat. That building that has that yellow onion-shaped dome at the top of it. It's the Hotel Intercontinental on Michigan Avenue. But notice the platform next to the dome. The original intent of that platform, they wanted to receive guests by blimp. This is the Bleacher Center, the downtown campus for the University of Chicago. Now, very, very cool place. This is the new Apple store on Michigan Avenue, designed by Norman Foster Partners of London. As we go by, look at the roof line of the building. Doesn't the roof line remind you of the top of a great big Apple laptop computer? The guys at Apple thought it would be a great idea to put a great big Apple logo on the top of that building. So if you're looking down at it from a neighboring building, it looks like one of their computers. So they did that. The architect found out about it. Said, this is not part of my design. You can't do that. You're cheapening my design. They had to go back up there 4 hours later and pull the Apple logo off of it. These are the Twin Towers of the Wrigley Building, 1921 and 1924. First major buildings north of the Michigan Avenue Bridge, and also the first 2 buildings in Chicago to get air conditioning. So imagine working on a nice summer day in a building with no air conditioning. But also designed the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. As we go by this building, look straight up the side of that building. Picture another one sitting right on top of it. That's how high the Burj Khalifa is. It's basically 2 of these. Adrian Smith designed another building that's under construction right now in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It's called Kingdom Tower. It's 2.5 of these. This one, plus another one, plus another half on top of that. All 3 of them designed right here, downtown Chicago. His offices are right at Wacker and the Institute of Technology. One of his students, though, apparently not buying what he was selling. Bertrand Goldberg, one of his students, designed Marina City, sometimes called the Corn Cobs of the Midwest. If you look up, you'll see why. Bertrand Goldberg's philosophy was, there are no right angles in nature, so there should be no right angles in architecture. All of his buildings, round, swirly, curvy like this. Even if there were factories, warehouses, industrial buildings, he wanted them to be pleasing to the eye so people walking along the river would have a nice building to look at. 300 North LaSalle, right here. Probably the most environmentally responsible building in Chicago. This building it's a 2009 building by Picard and Shilton, but this building has what's known as a LEED certification of platinum. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Platinum is the highest you can get. If you are an architect and you get a platinum rating from LEED, it's a huge deal. It's like winning an Academy Award. Everything in that building done with an eye towards the environment. It's actually cool using river water. This is Wolf Point, very important to Chicago's history. Wolf Point East, brand new residential building. This is the Salesforce Tower going up. This is important because this is actually where Chicago started. The very first settlers that came here settled right here at the point where the river splits north and south, Wolf Point. This is where we got our name. The first settlers always heard the Native Americans refer to this area as Chicago, so they called it Chicago. It evolved eventually to Chicago from Chicago. Turns out, though, that Chicago was the Native American term for smelly onions. Riverbank back then, loaded with wild onions, wild garlic, Middle of summer, you can only imagine what this place smelled like. So if you're from New York, congratulations, you're from the New